Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Rock of Truth podcast. Nick Statterman here with Jake Sopko and Joe Metzger, here to talk about the good old Bearcats in the week that we've had. Quick word from our sponsor, though, Danco, Joe, Automotive and Transmission Auto Care. Mention the Rock of Truth and you get 10% off your next visit to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Mention Jake Sopko, mention Joe Met, mention myself. You're going to get 10% off. Fellas, we've got a football coach. I'm just going to announce the elephant in the room. The 43rd head football coach of the Bearcats. In one sentence, if you could, what was your guys' initial reaction, initial thoughts?
One sentence or one word? Do you want to do one word to describe?
I like a phrase.
Okay.
You can use one word. It still counts.
Okay. I'll go one word. Intrigued. I'm intrigued. I don't really know what to think.
Joe?
My phrase would probably just be neutral. Or like if I were to give like a phrase, that's my word. But if I were to give like a phrase, it'd probably be like hills and valleys. Because I'm not gonna obviously we talk about, it's easy to get too high on the highs and too low on the lows in this roller coaster. I just think we just don't know enough to really know right now. So I'm kind of just sitting here. I'm trying to stay right in the middle and not get too high, not get too low, and just kind of see what happens. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know. My reaction was just like, okay. Like, we hired somebody. I don't know much about him. Obviously, with more information coming out, learned a little bit. But I think it's good that we kind of don't have much of an expectation. If you want to look at it, I guess, from a positive standpoint. I think if we have a record like we did this year, next year, I think we're going to have a lot different feeling than what we did this year. But again, I don't know a lot about the dude. I know he's successful at App. Obviously, record doesn't show great at Louisville, but I think Louisville athletics all across the board has kind of taken a step back from what they used to be. So I'm not going to really harp on kind of his Louisville record there, but yeah, I don't know. Just interesting. I'm excited. We got a coach. That's kind of what matters.
I could make an argument that Louisville basketball all time, I know it's a top 10 program. I could potentially make an argument for Louisville basketball to be a top 5 program all time. Currently, they are 360th in the country out of 363 teams. And I don't think, I think a lot of that has to do with how much of a crap show it is that they're in their athletic department. And I think that's carried into multiple sports. And I think it's a crap show. And I'm not saying it's all their fault, but I think that definitely plays into a toxic culture within different programs. And I think it's hard as a coach to block that out and create a positive, good culture. So I'm going to give him I'm not going to give him a complete pass for his 25-24 record at Louisville, but I'm going to give him about a 50% pass. And that's why I'm not trying to get too low on it or too high on it, because he still has to be a really good football coach to win as much as he did at App State. I mean, he won national championships at App State, and he took a team from the FCS level to the FBS level. I think that says a lot about him and his ability to maybe take us from the AAC to the Big 12. I know it's not exactly the same, but taking a program from one level to another level, he's had experience doing that. And I think his offense is intriguing too. I mean, the way he's ran offense, even at Louisville, even in their years, they weren't very good. Their offense was really good. So I think that translates to what's going on in the Big 12. I think that is a good fit from that standpoint too. So I don't think it's as terrible as a hire as many fans are saying. So it kind of bothers me when fans are like, this is the worst hire ever. This is Tuberville 2.0. I don't think that's necessarily the case. Is he going to be as good as Fickle? Man, how can we know? Probably not. It's really going to be really hard to follow up Fickle, if we're being honest. I think we all can say that. But ultimately, where I'm coming from is, hey, we got to come in with an open mind and give this guy a chance. He deserves our best, I think, as fans. And I think for the next year or two, we got to just stay positive, give him our best. And if I can say that as a negative fan, I think most people should be able to get on the Scott Satterfield train and try and support him in the best way possible. So, Sapi, I don't know how you're feeling. Those are kind of my thoughts right now.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked just because it was a name that we hadn't talked about. It didn't really feel like anybody had talked about. Joe, I know you got all your secret sources and you're telling me all these different things that are factual sources that you're getting. And you didn't mention his name once, did you?
No one mentioned his name.
Exactly. So I was shocked when I saw it, but I was like, all right, like, let's see what we got here. And I did some deep digging, and I really like that he's won. I know Statty was like freaking out, like a Matt guy. Like, this is a guy, we didn't get a Matt guy, so Statty, you can still go to the games and whatnot.
Yep. I'm not giving Joe Matt my gear. Yep.
Exactly. But he's won at the Power 5 level, right? I know, like you said, 25 and 24, that's not the best record by any means, but clearly he's won, which says something, and he did a great job at App State. He, like you said, took them from FBS to FCS, or FCS to FBS, which is a huge transition. And like you said, it's different, but he has a little bit of experience with that. And then a guy who's been really successful on the recruiting trail. And that's something that we've had a lot of success with at Cincinnati the past couple of years. It's probably why we've been really successful as a team the past couple of years. So to have a guy who can recruit really well, I think is huge. Especially in today's day and age where it's just a little bit of a complete shit show, the transfer portal and whatnot. And I kind of want to dig into that a little bit later, but yeah, I'm optimistic. I don't have like strong opinions about it either way. Just kind of excited to see what it looks like when he puts his staff together. I already know he's starting to add some people to that, but kind of curious if he retains anybody, if he's just going to bring in all of his new guys, which I assume he will. What does that mean for the players? I know people are transferring left and right, but I feel like they've kept a lot. There's a lot less names in the portal right now than I was expecting. I know there's probably 5 to 10 guys or whatever, but less than I was expecting. And I'm curious to see after the bowl game how much that picks up, or if more people stay. I don't know. I'm optimistic, I guess, is the best way to put it.
It could be way more, right? Like the portal could have, let's be honest. Like, there is not as many names as I thought were going to jump in there. I remember when he left, you guys remember I was texting you. I was freaking out at how many people I thought were going to jump into the portal. I was like, man, we're going to be starting from ground zero. But it's not looking that way. Obviously, we're missing some big names are going to hit the portal, but it's not going to be completely as bad as I think it was going to be, and hopefully it stays that way. We're just going to have to wait a month or two and see who leaves, who's coming in, to kind of have an accurate look at what next year's team's going to kind of look like.
Do you who'd we, is it just, I know JQ's in there, but starters wise defensively, I think is just Shep in there, right? As far as the portal goes.
Noah Potter pulled up as well.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
I was thinking starters.
Oh yeah, Renfro's big.
I was talking more defensively. Yeah, it sucks to see a kicker go after we've waited so long. Jaded. I was really, really heartbroken. I told you guys about Jaden leaving. I know Sapi, the one night when it was just me and you, I was talking about him up pretty heavily, and it's going to suck losing our kickoff returner guy as well. So go ahead, Chad.
I got a big piece of information for you. End of practice today. All the team gathered around. Field goal to end practice. Bryce Burton. Money. Walk it off.
I love that. Burt Dog.
Is he now K1?
I would guess it's Lowry, but Burton got the call to get the practice ending kick and nailed it. The team chased him all around. Defense everybody tackled him and celebrated, and it was a glorious moment for future Bearcat Journal content creator Bryce Burton.
Burt Dog's a friend of the show. He's a friend of the Rock.
I know. That's why I had to break in and let you guys know that he had his moment. He had his moment today at practice.
That's electric.
He still to this day is my favorite guest we've ever had on here.
He's the best. I have him targeted for he's going to work for me someday in some way, shape, or form.
That's awesome.
Good. He's awesome. He's a content machine, but we need him holding. If he's kicking, who the hell's holding? You know what I mean? We need him.
Now, hey, real quick, like back to the portal thing real quick for the both of you. Like, it's just a part of what college football is going to become, right? Like, you see how many names are in the portal all around the country. It's crazy, right? Like Statty's kind of been reminding us this week, like there's guys who are entering the portal that Statty says, hey, they were going to enter whether Fickle was here or whether he wasn't here, right? Like, people are going to enter the portal. It's just the way college football is going, and we're going to have to adapt to it, so we're going to have to hit the portal. And I know, I mean, how do you guys kind of feel as guys who have gone through a program, been in the same program for 4 or 5 years? How do you kind of feel about the portal? Like, what are your thoughts on it? Immediate thoughts when it comes to being a former player? Like, how do you both feel about it?
I don't love it. To be completely honest, I think it really – I'll take it one step further before I even go into that as a college athlete. Imagine – I was telling my buddies this. I couldn't imagine being a high school recruit right now, dude. Like, you're fucked. Kind of, in a way. Like, why would a coach take a flyer unless you're like a 4 or 5 star, like high rank guy? Why would a coach take a flyer on a 3-star high school kid? You never know how it's going to pan out. Why would I take a flyer on him when I got a kid who's played 2 years already? I know what he can do at the college level. He's proven himself. Maybe he's not a star or anything, but like, I know I can plug him in. Right. So you can just do that. So like, as a high school kid, like, there's not a lot of spots open. And that's got to be nerve wracking. And so like that would be super difficult. And then it's just, I mean, there's 5,000 kids and the grass isn't always green on the other side, right? There's a lot of kids that are going to jump in that portal and, they think that they're going to have the world offered to them and all these different options. And they're going to find out real quick, oh shit, like probably was better off where I was. Right. And it's not often that they're going to welcome you back with open arms. With that being said, there is an aspect to it if a kid can go to a way better situation that's way better for him. And, it works out. There's both sides of it. I think that honestly happens less than the contrary, where people are kind of just like screw themselves by going in the portal.
Yeah.
I think it just changes recruiting too. Like at times like this, when you need to build a team, you can essentially build a team off the portal. Like Satterfield's coming in here. He hasn't recruited any of these guys. All the guys here at Cincy, even though they've been successful, they're not his guys, right? And we went with that. We went through that with Tuberville and Fick. We were Tuberville guys. So it's just a different outlook, and I can kind of talk more of that as a player. But I think as a coach coming in, you can build a whole team from the portal for what you want to be. And I think it's hard to establish culture with that. But if you get a bunch of older guys to buy in, you can win right away, right? That's what USC did. They almost made it to the college football playoff this year. So I think it kind of has become the like NCAA's worst nightmare. It kind of the way they were hoping it like wouldn't work out. That's how it's worked out. Where I heard the other day, there's 5,000 kids in there and the portal opened up on Monday. I mean, that's insane.
Insane. Do you think, how much do you think having that COVID year where you can have that extra year also plays a factor with the transfer portal?
Dude, I think it's bizarre. Like I don't even know how it works anymore. I really don't. Like I think I liked it better was like, okay, I think if you transfer, you shouldn't have had to sit out. I didn't like that rule. So you get one transfer and maybe even you put a stipulation there. If your coach leaves, you get another opportunity, right? Like we have like the JT Daniels of the world who's like transferring for a third time. He's going to play on his 4th team. Like that's just ridiculous. There shouldn't be dudes that are playing on 5 different teams in college. And then with the COVID thing, it's like you have unlimited years. You can play college football for like 8 years if you want to.
That's what I was getting at.
Many times you want. You don't have to sit out. You get like 10 years of eligibility. Like it's a
like
shit.
What like as a coach, like you're gonna take a chance on this high school kid who's maybe a 2-star, or you're gonna take a kid that's been playing college football for the last 5 years. Like
that's what I'm saying.
It's free agency. I mean,
free agency.
I hate calling it the transfer portal because it's really it's basically NFL free agency within the NBA, because now all these kids are transferring and they're naming, they won't even talk to coaches without hearing, well, how much can you pay me? that makes it even more difficult. So, and then part of the problem is, like, especially for someone like us who's making that transition in the Big 12 and doesn't have the same funds as some of these other programs, like the Ole Miss, the LSU, the Texas A&M, the Ohio States, like even actually I've been reading some stuff this past week. Even Ohio State's struggling on the NIL train right now. Like they're struggling to pay kids as much as some of these other schools are. Because if you got a big enough like fan base and donors who are willing to just literally give whatever and whenever, you can pay and basically get whatever kid you want in the portal. Because if they name a price and you can meet it and no one else can, they don't care about fit. They don't care about culture. They don't care about wins and losses. They just care about the fact that they're going to get a check. And listen, that's okay, but we just got to call it what it is. It's free agency.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know if you guys have any more on the portal, but kind of want to get back to Coach Satterfield a little bit. You know, in his presser, he kind of talked about how Cincinnati, and we hit it on it a little bit before our last week, is just how we do have a culture of winning. It wasn't just a Coach Fickle thing. You know, he made a comment about going to 12 bowls in 16 years. Yeah, we have a higher standard than just winning 6 games and becoming bowl eligible, obviously, but I mean that's still really, really impressive. I like how he's not coming from somewhere that's far away. I think maybe he saw the writing on the wall with what was going on with Louisville and its athletics, and you know he's like, let me just take a quick drive up north a little bit and go to maybe a more put together athletic department and just take over a program that that Cincinnati's become.
It sounded like he was ready to get the hell out of there.
Louisville?
Get out of Louisville, and I think they wanted him out of there because I know. I mean, I did more research once all stuff came out, or like how we hired him, and I did a deep dive on like who this guy is and all this stuff. And I guess after his first year at Louisville, he tried to jump ship to South Carolina.
Yeah.
And then like I know they wanted to bring back Jeff Brom to be their head coach. That was always like the thing Louisville wanted to do, and that's what they're doing. So it kind of worked out in their favor. I know there was an interviewer, Satterfield said his favorite part about Louisville was how close it was to the airport. So it seemed like a guy who
didn't love
what?
Do you find it funny? Like, here's my question. Do you find it funny that like Coach Brome at Purdue, right? Like, I think he's a really good coach. I think he'll do well at Louisville, but like he's got a 600 record. Like I'm not like, he's had a couple big wins against some teams, but he's also had some really bad losses too. Like his resume doesn't stand out to me as someone like you're just begging to get into your program to be the coach. Like I find it kind of odd. He's got he has a similar record as Coach Satterfield. It's actually worse record than Coach Satterfield, but it's about the same. Like they're very similar on a lot of levels. Like they 8-4, 7-5, good offense. Like I don't, so I'm kind of confused by their love of him. It feels about the same to me, but I might be wrong.
He's the hometown hero, dude.
Yeah, I get it. And he has that whole XFL quote. You ever seen that video? He's like,
it's electric.
Yeah, that's cool. I do like that. Like, I don't think Coach Satterfield's going to be doing anything like that, to be honest.
He should if he wants to get the people going.
Yeah. That's why you have Statty, though, on the Rock of Truth podcast. He'll get the people going.
You guys touch on just how maybe he wants to get out of Louisville, and you see his granted the kid went to Elder, and it's awesome. He's coming back home, but you see that big O lineman following Coach up here. Maybe it's not just Coach Satterfield who wanted to get out of there, but I feel like the tackle, he was like, yeah, Coach, where are we going? Like, get me out of here. I'm coming with you. Let's go to work. And then I think you see the same thing with some recruits, the guy I've been talking to you guys about all week, that 4-star safety, Jay Davis, I think.
Yeah.
His name, Joe. Yeah. And, he's a kid. He's been repping Louisville for, the last 2 months or whatever. And he's got a video of him training with Louisville shirts on, all this. And then he sends out a long tweet of a write-up about, no longer going to be going to Louisville and all that. And so, I'm liking what's shaking about right now.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't do such a deep dive as Sopko. I'm kind of waiting to see what all he puts together here in this first few months, and just kind of seeing where he goes from here. So
I hope he can. I don't know. I hope he can continue to get some of those guys, Daddy, you're talking about, some of those commitments. Maybe a few more guys from Louisville to come up here. Now, I don't think it's going to be a ton.
No.
I don't, and just like I think there's going to be a few guys that might follow Coach Fickle. Like I think there's going to be certain dudes from each program that are going to follow each coach, and we'll see what happens. But ultimately, like it's like you said, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Like I think he can succeed here. I think he can do a really, really good job. But you just don't know. It's the same thing with like when Coach Vick came here. Do we remember? Like, I don't think there was some party being thrown when he got hired. Like he was a coach that, okay, he had a successful defense at Ohio State, but ultimately when he was the head coach there, they went 6-6. They lost to Michigan, right? Like he didn't have some incredible resume on him either. So I remember when Coach Fick was hired, there was plenty of people that weren't happy about it, especially since he was a Buckeye. But look how that turned out for us. We're hoping the same thing can kind of happen here. I think it's going to take some time. I think it might, and also like you said, Sapi, it might not take as much as we think, depending on what happens in the portal and what happens here in the next few months. So we're just going to have to wait and see.
Are you anticipating more guys to jump in the portal, Joe Matt? From Cincinnati? That's just twice you've mentioned it, so I didn't know.
I do.
Why do you think they haven't already? Just to play the bowl game, maybe get some more tape?
I don't know. I think maybe they're. You guys could tell me. I might be just totally wrong. Maybe they're giving Coach Satterfield a chance. They want to. Maybe they're happy here. I think we have a lot of guys in our program that are in that mile radius that Fickle recruited that are close to home still. Like, I think that plays into it. I think that played into why they came here in the first place. Like, I think they're trying to figure out, do I want to be here? What do I think about Coach Satterfield? How's this going to go? Am I going to connect with him? We're going to have a good relationship. I think they're trying to feel all that out right now. And I think that's going to be dependent upon if they jump, if they stay. So I think a few more will jump, but I don't know how many more. I don't know. I'm hoping and praying that kids stay, but I just don't think nowadays you just don't know. Do you think they could still jump after the Fenway Bowl? Like, why would they wait that long though? I mean, if they were going to do it, don't you think it'd be smarter to do it now so they can get their name out there and get the offers they want and see kind of what it looks like before they make that decision?
Yeah, I think it would be smarter to do it now. I think you can jump in whenever you want. I'm sure there's like rules, but like, are there really any rules? I don't even know. You would think, I mean, there are some guys who are just like, hey, I want to finish this out, with my boys one last time and whatnot. I think there's probably guys too, like waiting to see, who's going to be their position coach, like who's going to be the tight ends coach, who's going to be the safeties coach and stuff like that. And it seems like keeping Combs around is like an important aspect to the team, even to guys that like aren't in his position group or on the defense. I've talked to the guys on offense that are like, saw a tweet that, they're going to try to keep Coach Combs. Like that would be huge. So it's obviously important to the guys on the team. So I know Satterfield mentioned that, he would love to have him on the staff. Hopefully Coach Combs would want to be on the staff and they can figure that out. I don't know. But it seems like that could be something big. And yeah, but like to put yourself in the best position to find a new home, it probably would be smartest to hop in there now.
Yeah. You're right on though with the staff thing. I mean, you guys would know better than me, but I'm sure like how much time do you spend with your position coaches during a practice, during a season?
All day, every day.
Okay.
All day long.
So it's so important. Like, so coach, like keeping Coach Walt, right? Like the defensive line obviously is going to want to keep, Walt around. I mean, he's a Bearcat, so I would like to see him stay around. And you'd like to see Coach Combs. Did you guys see his interview today? I sent it to you. Watch it.
Yeah, I saw it.
Did not.
It was all, man, it makes you want to run through a wall. He just like talks about like the toughness of like Bearcat football and like playing for your city and like what it means and like through all these coaching changes since, the beginning of the Big East, right? And like when he was there with Kelly and now there with Fick, like what it means to be a Bearcat, what it means to be tough and like put on for your city. And it made you want to run through a wall. But he's always been that way. Like he is, in my opinion, he's Cincinnati through and through. Like he is Coleraine High School. Like he is Coleraine football. He is like, and I know he's at Ohio State for a while. I know he's with the Titans with Coach Vrabel, but ultimately, like he got his start in high school football in Cincinnati and then college football here. He's back home. Hopefully we can keep him here. That would be awesome.
That'll be like Statty one day.
Yeah, like Statty, the D-line coach for the Bearcats, like his whole life. Like he just becomes like a household name.
High school. Awesome. It'll be like a local high school and the Bearcats, and then he'll go to like some huge school, and then he'll coach for like the Jags for like 3 years, and then he'll come back and become UC's head coach.
Like 30 years from now, like Mick Nicholas High School, like the Rockets will be producing like a bunch of D1 football players, and like people will like just think it's the normal, but they won't understand that like Nick Statterman built that like 20 plus years ago. You know,
pipeline like Coleraine is.
Yeah, like that's Coach Combs built that. Coach Statterman's good.
Oh no, he lagged out.
Hold on, his lips are still moving.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can. There's a couple comments here that people are putting in. I think it is a good point. Kathy and Francis mentioned that the strength coach. You mentioned how often are you with your position coach? All day, every day. Who's the second person that you're with the most is the strength coach, and you can see here Louisville's coach went to Arkansas a week ago. So I don't know who he's going to bring in, if he's going to keep somebody in-house. I know Foligno's still there and probably would be the first option if they wanted to keep somebody in-house. He would be great. Statty, I know you love Foligno. I love Foligno. He's awesome. I think he'd be he's definitely ready to take over a strength program and would be a phenomenal guy to do so. So he has our support. I would love to see that. I know the guys would love it because everybody loves him. And that would be really cool to see. But, coaches, sometimes they're like tied to the hip with their strength coach, like Fick is with Brady. And some of them I think aren't. I think it just depends. But yeah, we definitely need a strength coach. You need to get that rolling, have him build out his program, his staff, because that's who you spend the most time with, him and your position coach, right? So that's a huge aspect, that a huge spot that hasn't filled. I haven't heard anything about that.
What about getting you and Coach Statterman in to be the strength coaches next year, just as like an interim basis for the year, and see what happens? That you can get him on the get the Lincoln. Wait, what's his name?
I'm on the Cliff Kingsbury workout plan.
You need to get on the Cliff. You get them all on the Cliff Kingsbury plan for some of them, and then Statty gets them on like the Statty plan for like the D line, the O line. Can you imagine?
It would be a shit show. We'd have a bunch of guys. The Cliff plan's just trying to he's just trying to get shredded, bro. He's not trying to put on any muscle mass.
We'd be the most team in the country.
We'd look good on like Instagram, but I don't know if we'd be in the best.
Do we
to be
Soppy, do we think day one next spring or spring semester, day one with Coach Satterfield, are they wearing sweatpants and hoodies inside out and just following some psycho to the Bearcat statue and then crawling around in the frozen turf, or no?
I don't think that they're going to be doing that, but I could bet your ass that you'll see the Wisconsin Badgers post a attention training in the Wisconsin snow. You'll see like a bunch of big old linemen after they eat their Culvers doing bear crawls, through all the snow up in Madison. I can guarantee you'll see that video, but I don't know. I don't know if Coach Satterfield's going to have the boys doing that. I hope he does. Bring back attention training. That was awful.
It is a little alarming though that maybe he's got his guy and it's just not finalized or announced, but like, I don't know. I mean, Brady and Fick, they were, like you said, attached at the hip, just like any head coach with their strength coach, and that's 1A, 1B type of guy. So it's a little alarming that Satterfield doesn't have one, and that his guy from Louisville is gone, has chosen to go elsewhere. So that just alarms me a little bit. But who knows? Maybe with his experience, he's probably got 5 other people or 10 other guys that he could see being the head dude. But I just think that's probably one of the most important hire.
Yeah, I mean, this business is the most who do you know connection business there ever is, right? So he's been coaching for a long time. There's a lot of people that he's crossed paths with. So I'm sure there's somebody from App State or Louisville or somebody he knows. We'll have one here pretty soon. Love to see if he'd keep somebody on staff. I think that's not necessarily usually how it goes. I don't think.
Well, that was huge. That was huge for, me personally. I loved how, Coach Showers was still with us.
Yeah.
It's just that familiar face. Like, it's like, okay, if this brand new random ass people trust Coach Showers enough to still be here, then all right, we might have something good here, and kind of breaks down that barrier.
Danco Joe wants Dominic Reno, Purdue strength coach.
Dude,
don't know about him, but
if Danco Joe wants him, I want him.
There you go.
I actually, did you guys watch the press conference?
No,
I did.
Did you like it?
I liked it. I was a fan. I thought he was good with his answers. I thought he said all the right things. There wasn't anything that I was like, oh, like what? I thought it was really good. I know they talked about NIL a lot, and that's something that he's going to embrace, which is good. So, yeah, I think he said all the right things. He talked about the transfer portal, NIL, going into new conference and all that. So, I thought it was good.
He's not Luke Fickell. He's Scott Satterfield. Did you like that quote?
I loved it.
I like that, man. I watched, just so you guys know, I got my oil changed at Danco Transmission this week, and I highly recommend all the fans to get there and do the same. But I actually ended up watching the press conference in Danco Joe's office with him and his brother. And Danco Joe and his brother actually wanted him to guarantee a Big 12 title in year 1.
I don't know. I don't like that move.
I was fired up. All I could imagine was Danco Joe getting the head coaching job and just being up at the press conference, just like guaranteeing a Big 12 title in year 1. I
like the comment that they just pulled up with Scott. Yeah, pull that back up with me. I love what you're saying there, Scott. I totally agree. I didn't mean it for him to bring a buddy along, but just somebody that's going to get the job done. But at the end of the day, like Sopko was saying, it's who you know. I don't think he's going to be having just random dudes coming in and interviewing. Maybe he does, but I think from that presser, it just sounded like he's ready to come in and win some games. So I don't know if starting with somebody new is the way to go.
I agree with you guys wholeheartedly on the strength coach thing, but isn't it important to note that Fick was an assistant and Brady was an assistant strength coach? It's not like they were connected at the hip at another job, and Fick knew for certain that Brady was like this high-end strength coach. They had a connection, but that was like a leap of faith for Fickle to take there.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out, that it wasn't like if this was like they had come from another program where Luke was the head coach and Brady was the strength coach. They built what they did here, but that was a leap of faith for Luke, a leap of faith for Brady. Like that was something that they went out on a limb and it worked, but it wasn't like a sure thing by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, no, 100%. And yeah, that's what I was saying. There's always that like connection where, whether it's the main guy or somebody on there, I feel like they always have in mind, like, hey, if I were to be a head coach at a different school, like this is who I would take. This is who I'd want to take. Yeah, it's interesting to see. Hopefully it's something that they probably won't get done until after the bowl game. I don't know. Actually, I have no idea what the timetable is. But
Soppy and Statty, were you guys invited to the alumni Zoom call?
I didn't. So I got invited, but I didn't know about it till after the fact when Josiah sent me like a screenshot. It was asking if we were on it, and then it was on like my old email that I don't use. But I did get invited, but unfortunately, I would have been on there if I would have known about it beforehand, but I wasn't.
Same boat.
Okay, I just didn't know if you guys had anything that you had heard of that you wanted to touch on from guys that you had talked to or anything of that nature.
Yeah, I wish, to be honest, I would love. We talked about that in our group chat, though. It was a cool move by him, especially trying to get the alumni involved so early. Not every coach does that, so I thought that was interesting. I wish I would know more about what was talked about. It's always kind of a hard spot to be in, right? To take over a new program and then try to like connect with the guys that you didn't coach and whatnot. But I definitely that's a classy move by him.
The overall arching emphasis, I guess, seemed to be just the alumni getting to fill in like what it meant for them to be Bearcats and what that mentality was, and just kind of getting their feedback as to what the program needed to look like. And I don't know, I don't feel like that happened. It certainly didn't happen with Fick, but I don't know that happens very often anywhere for that matter. So yeah. I don't know, just kind of something very interesting that I took away anyway.
Yeah, I think that is really interesting. Again, I think it's a classy move by him and smart by him too. If he wants to use it as a way to just kind of get intel and figure out how he wants to build this culture and what's something that might be a little bit different that he didn't have in his brain beforehand. And I think it was a cool move. Statty, would you have been on there if you got that invite early enough?
Probably not, just due to my job. I didn't even. Yeah, no, probably not due to that. But
on there, Bearcats hired Sean Lewis from Kent State.
No, you would have walked into your room, and I would have had a big old bag wrapped up as a present, and my 2 bowl rings on top, and everything else, just all my gear, my jerseys. My old Marty Gilliard jersey, Eric Hicks jersey. You could have had all of it, dude.
Okay.
But, thank goodness that didn't happen. But no, I don't know.
He's Deion's OC now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, they're going to have talent out there. I hope he can do something with it.
Statty hates Sean Lewis so bad for no reason because he's 6'7".
Statty feels jealous of his beard.
Beard envy. Totally beard envy.
My beard is way nicer.
Beard though too.
My beard is way nicer.
You guys have equal beards, but
he probably spends like $500 on his shit, and all I have to do is roll out of bed and comb it 3 times, and it's there.
Let me ask you guys something. I maybe you guys don't like this question, but Aaron talked about how he asked like former players like what it means to be a Bearcat. For you two, like what does it mean to be a Bearcat for you two? If you could summarize that in a few sentences, what does that mean to 2 former players that now do a podcast, follow the team? What does it mean to you two?
I'll go, Jake. I'll go. I'll give you some time. All right. So I started off just as a Bearcat in 2000. What was it? When were we in 4th grade? Whatever year that was. Long time ago as a kid. And that's kind of when the fandom started. And then being able to, pursue a dream of my own of wanting to be a Bearcat football player and doing it, being on the other side. It's just some things you got exposed to where you're like, damn, did I really want to ask for this? Like, is this really what I wanted to see? But all in all, just, being able to represent such a great city, especially one that I'm from, and just seeing the CPAW continue to grow on a national level is amazing. But to be a Bearcat, man, it's just, I think they hit it on the head. Just that staff, it's tough and nasty. It's gritty. It's not pretty, but we're gonna, we're no matter what the team has been, we're gonna wear you out. We're gonna wear you down. We're gonna play hard as shit, and just that Clifton style. You roll up to Clifton, you're not like, oh wow, this place is beautiful. It's like, oh, this is kind of on like 17 different hills. Like what is campus, what's not campus, what's, why are there just random people walking around on the outskirts all the time? Just a nice, tough, gritty spot. And I think that's just what it is to me, man.
You like just living on the edge, just not knowing who's gonna get jumped or not, walking back to the apartment complex.
Yeah, it just gives you a little bit of a kind of a chip on the shoulder, like, I don't know. It's like who cares who it is? Let's just put the ball down and snap it, or it creates a competitive nature within oneself that you just carry on for the rest of your life. And I don't think it's a coaching thing. Obviously, having a good leader helps to that, but it is what it is, Joe. I bet you feel like a little bit, you puff your chest out a little bit further being a Bearcat graduate, not even being an athlete. So
hey, I won a couple fraternity basketball championships though in my day.
Not saying you're not an athlete.
No, I'm literally kidding. I was just joking. Some B League flag football touchdowns. I mean, come on, give me some credit.
That's awesome. You scored more touchdowns than I did in college.
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
go Soppy.
No, dude. I mean, I had the time of my life there. I really did, and I think what I was most thankful for is just the incredible like relationships and friendships that I was able to, form there. But just, I guess when I just think about like it in general, like Steady kept mentioning a word that I was going to say was like gritty. Like it's a blue collar town. Like I'm from Cleveland. I consider that a very blue collar town. It's not the flashiest. Everybody knows that. And Cincinnati's the same way. And it's kind of like something you take pride in, like wasn't the flashiest thing, but it's like gritty. And like he said, just go on and get after it. No matter who's out there. It was fun. It was fun. And that's, it's not a great answer, but that's the kind of one of the first things in my mind.
One of my favorite things about Cincinnati, just to paint a picture for people, just see if they feel maybe the same way I do. When you're driving back home from maybe a vacation down south, or you just are kind of driving along, and then all of a sudden there's a cut in the hill, and you just see this beautiful now crown over the Great American Building. You just see this gorgeous city, and I think that helps just kind of as a visual explain what Cincinnati is. It's like Jake said, it's not the flashiest. You kind of just stumble upon it and you realize, holy shit, this place is, it's kind of its own little hidden gem. And people don't see it from the outside until they kind of jump in with both feet, get exposed to everything. And it's a tough ass town, but it's also got a beautiful city at the same time.
It's San Diego, the Midwest. Is that what they call it?
San Diego, the Midwest. I don't know.
Isn't that mural that's painted? Joe, you know what I'm talking about when you go downtown?
No idea.
Saint Diego?
The Big Apple. The Big Apple.
San Diego.
Sin City.
Joe.
San Diego.
What does it mean to be a Bearcat to you? As somebody?
A fan?
No, you're more than a fan, dude. You're a Bearcat. You have the same diploma I do.
Yeah, but I do think there's obviously there's huge differences, I think, from being a player and being a former player and being a fan, right? Like that's why for me, I'm never gonna be mad at you two. There's gonna be such a different feeling about Coach Fickle in Wisconsin between me and then you, right? Which is we talked about that last week, right? And we don't have to get into that. But part of that is I think for me, what it means to be a Bearcat it means to be fiercely loyal, right? Fiercely loyal. And I think I've seen so many coaching changes and so many people enter the transfer portal, or you see all these changes happen, right? You change so many different conferences since I've been a kid, right? We're going on to conference number 3 now in the last 20 years, right? That usually doesn't happen for most programs. So you see all these different waves of highs and lows, and we've been through 4 and 8 seasons. We've also been through undefeated seasons where we get to the college football playoff. All these different highs and lows, but through it all being fiercely loyal, right? We are not Ohio State. We're not the University of Texas. We're not USC. We're not Miami, Florida, right? We're not Clemson. We're not Alabama. We just aren't. And like, but through that all, like, and I think through ups and downs, and like, you just, even as a fan, like, right, I'm not even playing, but you take on like this underdog mentality, right? Like even for me, like I get around some of my friends that are Ohio State fans, and like I get this like pride about me about being a Bearcat fan, because I'm like, I'm a 10 times bigger Bearcat fan than any of you guys are Buckeye fans. And I like almost take on this persona of like, even though they are fans, I look at them as like, you guys don't even know what it looks like to be a fan. Like, you've never been through a tough time. You don't even know what 4-8 feels like. Like, you don't have to, like, you just, like, I just feel like it's loyalty to me. Like, loyalty, toughness, like pride, like being proud of where you're from, being proud of what you root for. Like, I feel such a great sense of pride when the Bearcats win games, right? Like, and so for me, that's kind of what it feels like. I could go on and on about it, but for me, it's like loyalty, pride, toughness, passion, like legitimate passion. I think that's why we get so many ding dongs on Twitter and stuff like that, is because people are passionate. And like, obviously, I think sometimes that's not the best thing, but it is San Diego of the Midwest.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up. There's a nonprofit. It is the San Diego of the Midwest. I've never heard this in my life.
Dude, you guys didn't know about this?
You can follow it on Instagram. You can follow it on Twitter. There's a whole. It's mentioned on Reddit here. I mean, well done, Soppy. You did do a deep dive this week, man.
I used to drive past that. You see that picture?
Oh, I've seen it.
I
see it. I see you. I see.
Yeah, that like mural.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I couldn't tell you why, but
dude, when you go down, when you're going from campus and you go down that big ass hill to go downtown.
Jefferson Avenue.
Yeah, it is Jefferson. Is it Jefferson?
Yes. Past the bubble. Yes. Mad Frog. Yes.
Yeah, you go past Mad
There
Frog.
it is. Wow. Yeah, it's by Jefferson's the other. It's what's 65 on in the BP? That's the angle you see it.
No, that's Ohio.
Yeah, that's the angle you see that on. Because it's right before that light. Anyways.
Either way, it's awesome.
I guess it's the San Diego of the Midwest. Joe, I love your answer, dude. The passion, loyalty, and I think the fan base has kind of cooled down a little bit. It feels good to have a coach. Yes, there's still a lot of questions going on, but I think we start transitioning our mind to what a lot of people in the city see as a big basketball game coming up. And I don't know if you want to touch more on your loyalty. I asked you a question earlier this week if you ever protected the Big O statue as a student, and I couldn't believe your answer. Actually, I couldn't. I'm actually surprised you made time to get on the rock tonight, and you're not out there guarding Oscar right now.
Yeah, I never protected it, but you guys, like the Rally Cats, it's like a club. You have to like join the club. I think there's like meetings. I don't know how it all works. Listen, I was at every game, getting all my Ruckus rewards points. Like I was building those points up as much as any Rally Cat member. But especially with my sister, when she started playing soccer there, it was like I was at every girls' soccer game. I was at every football game, every basketball game. My cousin working for the women's team, I was at every women's basketball game. So I'd argue I was like top 5 in Ruckus rewards points by the end of my couple of years there. But I never actually
you like a t-shirt.
Yeah. I mean, you priority tickets, like you guys don't know what that's like because you were athletes. You just got tickets to whatever. But like if you wanted tickets to the Xavier game or you wanted tickets to like the Houston or Memphis game, you wanted those priority tickets, you'd have to have a certain amount of points to be able to get in line first to get those tickets. And I wasn't going to miss those games. So I racked up those points like it was my job.
It's giving off like McDonald's Monopoly vibes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Joe, mate, you made a comment about just athlete not having to struggle with tickets. Can I share a story real quick before we get into the crosstown?
Yeah.
So this is the life of a walk-on under Tommy Tuberville. All right. So I was a school start, so I didn't go to camp, right?
Yeah.
So week 1 of the season is when I joined the team. I don't make it through, or what's it? Acclimation period is what, 6 days? I think it is, Soppy. I can't remember, but anyways, my last day of the acclimation period was not until the Monday following the game. So I am not allowed to be on the sideline, nor does the athletic department have a ticket for me. So for my first ever college game on the team, I bought a ticket and stood in the student section against Tennessee Martin.
That's awesome to me. I'm serious. That's what it like. That's what
You know how embarrassing that is, Joe?
No, but
people you're on the team, those girls you went to high school with, you're like, yeah, I'm on the team, and they're like, no, you're not.
No, you're not, dude. There are teams on the field.
That's kind of awesome.
The team's on the field losing to Tennessee Martin right now.
Like going from buying your own ticket as a player to like stuffing Tulsa on the goal line. That's like a Rudy like story.
Dude, today was the 5-year anniversary of losing to Memphis the second time.
Tough day.
Tough. Only collegiate stat for your boy though. 1 tackle. I'm on ESPN, Joe Matt.
That's
Steady
awesome.
stuffer.
The rest of my life.
Nothing quite like daddy stuffer. Soppy, are you going to be watching the shootout on Saturday?
Of course, dude.
What about you, Stabby?
What else would I be doing at 3?
When is it? When is the game?
3:00, ESPN 2, in Fifth Third Arena.
I'll stream it from the beach.
Maybe. I work till 1. I guess I could turn it on.
Can you give us a rundown, Joe? Because I was doing a little bit of research, and that team.
Oh God, can we zoom in on that picture for the Rocket Truth to see me without a beard? Are we able to do that?
Yeah, bro, it's a good thing you keep that beard strong.
Hey, that's 280. That's 280 in that photo right now. I'm sitting topping at 235 right now.
It's a whole lot of man in that picture right there.
You have a mohawk?
What happened to my neck?
Doesn't it look like he has a mohawk?
Yeah, it does look like they cut it off.
You kind of look like the thumb people from Spy Kids.
Dude, that's what my cousins called me. They would call me the thumb. Yep. That's me.
Bro, you got that 1 tackle though. That's hard.
Isn't that lit, dude? Forget everything else. Give me my tackle. It was even a TFL.
Solo too, not an assist. That's a solo. That's pure Satterman.
AAC championship game.
I'm so happy you gave me that.
Big players make big time plays in big moments.
Hey, and then I missed out on my second tackle in what was his name? Brady White.
Yeah,
he kind of ran me over into the end zone.
He was another 8-year quarterback. I'm pretty sure he got a doctorate. He was there for so long.
He's now coaching. How about that?
Is he? He definitely gave off
he's doing the XFL and coaching. Assistant passing game coordinator.
For who?
The Memphis Tigers.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Reminded me of a guy I played with, number 10.
That
Big
guy.
Psycho, yeah.
That guy was something.
Something.
Oh, here we go. Can we look at my rushing stats? Because there's might be something that's actually there if we can.
Gotta be negative.
Because the passing stats make my soul hurt.
Okay, 17.
Joe, 5 yards per carry in 2018.
12 yards. Dude, you ran for a first down.
Yeah, dude. QB draw. That was always fun when they just Fickle had a thing when we were up, we just weren't gonna throw the ball. That was just not a thing. I was like, dude, come on, let me get in there, toss the rock a little bit. And they were just like, no, we'll do 2 QB powers, 2 handoffs in the knee, and we're good to go. So
they thought you were Taysom Hill or something.
Basically, but slow as hell.
Did you ever get to throw the ball?
So here's the thing. My careers, the fact that we never got it's crazy that we never got down to the third string quarterback. Like, how often does the team for 4 years not go down to the third string quarterback? I mean, good for us that we didn't have that issue.
Well, you were at 2 a couple weeks too.
Yeah, I was at 2 for a decent amount of weeks throughout the years. Dude, I'll never forget 2017. We were playing. Who did we play week 2?
UCLA.
We played. It might have been not UT Martin. It was. I think maybe it was like Alabama A&M or
A&M.
Purdue.
Alabama A&M.
Alabama A&M. It was our first game at home. I was the 2. They had went they hadn't won a game in 3 years or something. They were 0 for 3 years. I had a great week of practice. I'm like, all right, Hayden's gonna go in. We're gonna be up 35-0 at half. It's the Soppy show the whole second half. I'm hyped. I think I'm gonna go light the world on fire. I'm telling everybody, gotta be in the stands. This is my first college game. It's gonna be lit. We won by a touchdown at the end or something. It was awful. Didn't even sniff the field.
Thomas Geddes with a top 10 catch though.
I think that's what that was. Yeah, maybe that was whoever we played that was bad. But no, to answer your question, we never called a pass play. There was one time it was an RPO, and it was a clear handoff. There was no business for me pulling it and throwing it. But I was I know they're not gonna call a pass play because they never do at the end of it. So I'm just gonna pull it regardless and try to throw it. So I did, and it wasn't open at all because the read was a give, and I knew it too. And we were in film, and Gino was like, "What the hell are you doing here, man?" I'm like, "You guys never call me any pass plays. I got to take matters in my own hands and try to make some, And he was just laughing. He didn't even give a shit. He was like, "Yeah, I respect that."
I've told you though before, I think I told you the first time you came on the podcast before you were a co-host, when me and Staddy had you on as a guest. I convinced some of my cousins and family members that you were the future at quarterback. Because I had told him, I was like, yeah, he is really good. He can sling the rock. He just parties a lot. And the coaches aren't huge on him yet. They need him to mature a little bit, but he's the guy for the future. And they really, so you'd be on the sidelines warming up, or you'd go in and hand the ball off a few times. My cousins would be texting me Soppy with 5 exclamation points. I'd be like, he's the future.
I thought I was the future, and then that Desmond Ridder guy came, and I was like, damn, this kid's pretty good. And then that all changed real quick. Who's now the starting quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons? Do we want to touch on that? I'm
excited for him. I hope he does really, really well. Obviously, he needs to prove himself the next few weeks so they can obviously build around him for the future. I mean, it's sad nowadays, but I mean, if we really think about it realistically, the next few weeks will determine probably the rest of his career in the NFL, if he's going to be a backup or a starter.
It's a really deep quarterback draft class. They're probably going to be positioned to take one. So I completely agree. And I like what they're doing too, is that they made the call. So they're on their bye week this week. So he's got 2 weeks to prepare, get that extra preparation. And I mean, I'm super excited. I texted him this morning. I'm sure his phone was blowing up. Texted in our group chat. So, we were all pumping him up, saying we were happy for him and stuff. So that's awesome. Yeah, hopefully he does play well and secures that, and they build around him. And you never know. Dude's a winner. He finds a way. So
they'll be missing their tight end.
Pitt's out.
He's out for the year. Yeah. But no, I mean, I'm not surprised. I was saying before the season, I could see them taking Mariota as far as see if they can get a playoff chance. I don't think they were expecting to make the playoffs. I don't even know if they're mathematically eliminated, but I thought they were going to go probably win 2 games, lose about 7, and then throw 9 in there. So,
dude, wouldn't it be nuts if he came in? That's the.
I mean, he can win that division.
So he comes in, wins out, and wins that division over Tom Brady. They play Tom Brady. They play the Bucks in Atlanta week 18. What if he beat Tom Brady to win the division and go to the playoffs? Dude, could you imagine a legend in the making moment?
Yeah. I can envision it right now.
That would be unreal. real. That's what we're rooting for.
I think he's gonna.
Are we gonna talk shootout?
Yeah.
It's
Go
getting
ahead.
late. That's the only reason I'm saying. I mean, I'm like fired up to talk shootout.
Yeah. How much does a shootout mean to you, Joe?
It means a lot to me, especially in a year where I don't feel like we're very good. Like the shootout, I think the shootout means more in years where you're not as good. Does that make sense? Like I remember like back in the day, it used to make me so mad when Xavier was in the A10 and like we were in the Big East and we had like a slate of like Syracuse, Villanova, Pitt, Louisville coming up, and they had like St. Louis, Temple, Dayton, and it's like everything. The shootout meant everything to them back then, right? Like I feel like sadly in a lot of ways that role's kind of reversed in some way. Like I feel like lately for me, the shootout means more to me in these years where we just stink. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like I don't think we're gonna win Saturday. I think we're less talented, but man, I am looking forward to like having a home crowd in Fifth Third Arena for a shootout. We haven't had that since like 2018. Like because of the COVID year, remember there was no one in the crowd. We haven't had a real home crosstown shootout crowd in forever. And people forget in the shootout, you can be worse than the other team, but if you have the game at home, anything could happen. Like I've watched a lot of games where one of these two teams has won at home simply because of the crowd and the atmosphere they have behind them. I mean, I've seen a lot of crazy atmospheres at UC over my years. Nothing beats the shootout. Like nothing. Like it is nuts. Doesn't matter how good or bad we are. It will be 12,000 deep. Every seat will be packed and people will be going crazy for the whole game.
Why do they keep every year? I just Googled it. Why do they do it on SantaCon every year, dude? SantaCon's the best weekend in Cincinnati. Why do they
do it? They do it on the worst days, the worst times, every single year. I mean, I'll just be on every single year. It's the worst days, worst times.
I remember a lot of times, like, I don't know if I've ever been to a crosstown shootout, but I remember a lot of it like going on during SantaCon, which is the most fun day of the year living in Cincinnati. If you're listening and you haven't done it, do it because it's a shit show. It's so much fun.
Is it because it's always the second week of December?
Probably.
One year they did it in February when I was in college.
Well, we were
that was that year.
We were there.
That was the year of the shootout. That Cumberland had like 20 in that game, and that was his coming out party as a freshman. So I'm hoping that Dan Skillings has his. I don't know if you guys have watched recently. Some of these freshmen are going to be really, really good. Like
I believe it.
Dan Skillings is every bit 6'6", 6'7", and he's a wing, and the dude can play. I mean, he flat out can play. He guards people. He rebounds. I think he's the best rebounder on the team. I'm not kidding. I mean, he gets up and gets rebounds at an alarming rate for a freshman. I mean, he rebounds the ball really, really well for a freshman. So that's like him being really good, in my opinion, has kind of calmed my nerves a little bit because it tells me that, like, okay, Wes Miller and his staff can evaluate talent. They can get kids in. Like, he's going to be really, really good. Josh Reed is going to be good. I think he's more going to be like a 6th, 7th man for us in a few years. I might be wrong on that. He's just very undersized. I think he's more of a 4 than a 3, but he's undersized. So I'm excited to see how he plays Saturday. I'm hoping he gets some minutes. I really would like to see those two play more minutes. I mean, DeJulius has been awesome. He's going to have to score 20. Nolly's going to have to score 20, and Davenport's going to have to hit a few threes. I mean, if we want to win on Saturday, DeJulius and Nolly both have to score, in my opinion, above 16, 17 points. Like, they have to give us some of their best basketball for us to win on Saturday.
What do you think about 24's minutes?
Here's my thing. When he gets put in situations where he can succeed, he's actually really, really good for us. Like, and I've been frustrated with him over the last few years, but he can really, really be successful and help us a lot when he's put in good positions. Like last game against Bryant, he took a lot of good shots. And because he took a lot of good shots, I think he made a lot of shots and he helped us. His problem really comes on the defensive end. Like, that's where I worry about him is, like, defensively. Like, he's just not very good on the defensive end, and I think most people know that. I don't think that's, like, a secret. So he struggles defensively, but offensively, when he's on, he's really on. But when he's off offensively, sometimes I think his minutes should be dependent upon how he's playing on the offensive end, truthfully. Now, I know like Coach Miller's not that way. He's the type of guy that's he encourages his kids to keep playing, shoot through those misses and stuff like that. So that's how he coaches. Everyone's got different styles of coaching. I prefer, like for 24, but depending upon how he's playing offensively in the first 10 to 15 minutes, should tell you everything about how much minutes he should probably play the rest of the game. But not every coach is like that. So we need him to play well on Saturday to win. Like, we need him to play well on Saturday to win, in my opinion.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
First one is, does 24 shoot more than 10 threes? Second question is Fremantle going to go 20-20 or triple-double?
I don't think 24 shoots 10 threes on Saturday.
That's a recipe for success.
6 or 7 probably. Hope he makes 6 or 7.
So he's shooting more than 10.
If he does, he will shoot more than 10. And I'm okay with that if he's making 7, 8 threes. But I don't know. I'm curious to see how Victor lines up.
I just think Victor's I don't know. I just feel like he's kind of a guy that's able to get bullied down there. But I haven't watched a game yet.
He's gotten a lot better. Like, Victor could be a really, really, really good player.
He's got 2 double-doubles this season already, steady.
Aaron, let me ask you that. Like, Aaron, what would your ideal starting lineup be from what you've watched so far? Like, not just this year, but building for the future. Would you have a different starting lineup than Wes?
Probably not. I mean, maybe you find a way to get Skillings in there, but right now, I mean, I guess I've seen every game so far this season, and I've been happy with at least the starting lineup that he's running out there. I think that it's good that Davenport has started to figure out where to take his shots for sure. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. You want to ease Reed and Skillings into the games. You don't want to just throw them out to the wolves and risk hurting their development as opposed to building their development.
Yeah. Aaron, would you say that the Bearcats basketball team goes as far as 5 takes them this year?
I don't think it's just 5 this year. I think you also have Landers Nolly in there too, and that's been the main difference in what you've seen thus far this season. It's not just DeJulius putting everything on his back, and if they double team him, then you aren't running into, well, if Dave has a bad night, you're up Schitt's Creek, right?
But I feel like that's games we've lost is just because 5 can't get going.
Games that we've lost have been because we don't have the depth outside of NKU. I mean, Arizona, Ohio State, you don't have the talent and depth that those teams have built, especially in the big positions. So when you right now you have Vic.
No rim protection, none.
Right.
I love Victor. I think Victor could be really, really good.
Agreed.
But he does not give us rim protection that we need against some of these good bigs. So I worry about that Saturday statty. I think Victor could give Zach Fremantle buckets whenever he wants on Saturday, but I also think Fremantle can do the same to him on the opposite end. So that's intriguing. Plus Nunji's on the floor. Like, I'm wondering how we match up from that size standpoint.
How big is Victor? 7-footer?
6'11", 6'10".
I can find out for you.
The 6'11", 6'11", and 2 double-doubles is kind of alarming. I mean, it's harder in basketball or in college basketball, I think, but I don't know.
He's only playing about 18 to 20 minutes a game.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
I mean, getting the 10 rebounds in that time frame.
He's played really well.
I mean,
he's one of the really big bright spots, in my opinion, especially looking to the future. Like, he looks like a dude that could be ready for the Big 12 next year, if that makes sense. So that is, to me, like, I think right now I've been looking very strongly at, okay, who do I think can be ready next year for the Big 12? I've been disappointed with many. I've also been excited about many. So Saturday's going to be tough. At the end of the day, Saturday's going to be really tough. They've got in my opinion, they've got a talented team. I mean, they went toe to toe with Duke and Gonzaga. I mean, I'm not.
They have 3 losses this year, and their 3 losses are to Indiana by 2, Duke by 7, and Gonzaga by 4.
Yeah, they're good. In my opinion, they should be. If they win one of those games, they're ranked. And
I'm surprised they're not ranked.
I do think they're a top 25 team.
Here's a quick question. Here's a quick question for you guys. That's just something that the wheels are turning in my brain. And I don't want to go on a huge tangent about this, but I'm just curious to hear you guys' answer. Cleveland Cavaliers won a big game against the Los Angeles Lakers in Cleveland the other day. I was texting you guys about it, kept telling you to tune in. I don't know if you did. Halftime show, Joey Chestnut, hot dog eating champion, comes out and he eats 37 pierogies. I don't know if you guys had pierogies before. Joe, have you had pierogies before? Okay, it's a big dish. Cleveland's big for pierogies. It's a big thing there. Okay. He eats 37 pierogies. My question is, if they did a halftime show for the Crosstown Shootout, Skyline Chili, bring that into the mix, like a 3-way eating competition, or you just want to do like a cheese coney competition. How many do you think? Okay, a coney competition. How many do you think Joey Chestnut could eat? Obviously, he's the hot dog eating champion. He's the best to ever do it, but the added on the Skyline and all that, how much of a factor do you think that plays into his process? Do you think he has the same results? Do you think that's something, is he trained for that? Like,
oftentimes they dip the water. They dip those bones.
Exactly, but how are you going to do that with the chili on
in the water to soak them?
I know.
I don't know if you ever test.
You can't do that with the chili.
Well, okay. Are you going all conies all the way? Are you going just chili and cheese? Are you?
I'm talking hot dog, chili, cheese.
Okay, so not all the way, just a basic coney.
He could do 30.
Wow. Honestly, I thought you were going to ask how many me and Joe Met would put down, but
like the Godfather, Deontay Corleone.
Dante.
I mean, I think Joey would get maybe 25.
That's what you have to have Joey Chestnut put down. How many Cholitos with French fries in them could Joey Chestnut eat at halftime?
I actually did it last night, dude. It's so good. I did it with extreme cheese too. Fire.
I'd love to know.
What about?
He's the hot dog champion, but let's bring that in.
The Godfather versus Chestnut in like a coney eating contest or Cholito eating contest, like at the shootout on Saturday. What do you think about that?
I love it. Why don't you guys make it happen?
You want to hear my favorite thing from this whole Godfather Cholito thing?
Yeah.
I asked Tom Bolden. I do a high school football show. I did a high school football show every Friday night through the high school football season. And we had Tom Bolden on as a guest. And I said, have you ever seen Corleone do the Cholito, the Godfather order? And he said, seen it. Who the hell do you think paid for it every Friday night? And I just, for whatever reason, I just lost it. I can just imagine Tom Bolden sitting there watching Dante Corleone house 7 Cholitos with French fries in them, a large 3-way, a cheese stick, and what else was there? A couple conies or something? I could just see Bolden sitting there looking at this kid going, what are we doing?
Well, that's why he came in with 380 pounds when he was a freshman.
We couldn't even do the steps.
Yeah, he couldn't do anything.
We thought he was going to die on the steps.
Exactly. I was like, who is this guy?
He's been awesome this week on Twitter.
And now he's the number 2 rated defensive player in the country on PFF.
He spread that weight, and he's a freak.
And the number 1 outspoken, I'm staying, I'm not leaving, Cincinnati Bearcat on the team.
He's going to be a legend. He is a legend already here. By the time he gets done here in 3 years or however long until he goes to the NFL, that kid's got the city in his hands. It's awesome to watch. It's awesome
NIL money.
By the way, quick update on the Atlanta Falcons. They are 5-8, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, leading that division, are 6-6.
Let's go 9.
Definitely still in the mix. I don't know. Are you allowed to call him 9 when he's 4 now? I don't know, but he's
9 to me. He's 9. Can we see their schedule?
He's 9, but when I when I texted him today, I called him 4 because I go back and forth on it now.
Can we hear a prediction from Brendel on the shootout on Saturday? I kind of want to hear like a score prediction.
I want to go through the Falcon. I want to play the win-loss game first.
Here's your schedule: New Orleans, Baltimore, Arizona, and Tampa.
Dude, that's
winnable.
Dude, those are win. And Lamar's out. Those are super winnable football games.
Do we have a? Does
Kyler back?
Does MyJ get to Dez?
Oh,
on New Year's Day. Oh my gosh.
And the Bucks are on a bye as well. Or no, the Bucks got the Niners loss, even with Brock Purdy.
Let's go, Brock Purdy. My fandom for Brock Purdy, I'm buying stock.
Bengals
could be playing for the division right here.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was.
Hey, Tom Brady's got to lose to the Bengals too, so we'll help him out.
He's got Niners, Bengals, Cardinals, Panthers, Falcons. Dude, I think they're going to be playing for the division.
They both play the Cardinals? Nice.
I'm going to go to that game.
Let's do it.
Day before the national championship game?
Let's do it. Joe, Matt, you asked for a score prediction?
Yeah, I want to hear it. I kind of want to hear one from you. I want to hear one from Soppy, Brendel, Aaron Smith, the whole crew.
I have no idea. Chad, you want to start us off if you're still here?
I'll do it.
Like a Brendel.
I don't really have a score. Like I don't. I think Xavier has the more talent right now. I think the game is interesting because neither team is all that interested in playing defense. So you can have some variation there where just the team that shoots it better is going to be more successful. But I think what Xavier is doing right now is more repeatable because they're not shooting a lot of threes. They're playing downhill. They're playing inside out through their two bigs. So what they're doing is more consistent than what Cincinnati's doing because Cincinnati's is reliant a lot on, are we hot from the perimeter? And even if it's not threes, they take a lot of long twos. DeJulius takes a lot of long step back twos. Nolly takes a lot of mid-range shots. My heart wants me to take Cincinnati, but in just like the basketball nerd in me sees two teams that rely on offense. One of them is more reliant on inside out and more high percentage shots. The other is more reliant on, is this a day where we're hot from deep? The wild card, as Joe Metis talked about, is does the crowd, you know how that is, Joe. Like you hit a three or two, and all of a sudden the momentum starts building, and all of a sudden people are just throwing them in. But I think the injuries are probably the biggest factor for me, just because Cincinnati lost their two best perimeter defenders and the two guys that they had that really could stay in front of somebody and, lock down Colby Jones or a Souley Boom if they started to get rolling. I don't know that Cincinnati has that right now, where when through the flow of a game, Xavier's going to have a guy that starts making shots. And Cincinnati doesn't have a defender that you can say, okay, yeah, you had a great 3-minute stretch, but now we're going to put this guy on you and it's going to limit your ability to continue where you're at. I just think Xavier's in a better spot right now, and I hate it. It pains me. It burns me to my soul.
What happened to Finney and Newman?
Newman has a knee injury. He's out until probably February, and Finney broke his foot. So we don't know a timetable on that. So, that's the hard part is, when you're trying to patch things together, you got to bring in some level of okay, we're bringing in this guy because he's elite at this. He might not be great at much else, but we know we're bringing in Rob Finney to put him on the opposing team's point guard and lock him up. And now you don't have him. And John Newman was brought in because he was one of the better perimeter defenders in the ACC. And now you don't have him. So who do you turn to when somebody for X gets hot? And that
Killings, baby.
I'm not
I'm going to say
I love it.
84-77 and give you guys back the 4 screens instead of the 5, just for aesthetic reasons. 84-77, Cincinnati win.
And it's going to be
Hey,
high scoring.
Honestly though, Chad, I think we both know like not usual that a freshman stars in the shootout, right? Like it.
No, there's been some of those, and it's been like the breakout for this kid. That could be Dan. Dan is an NBA player. I don't know when. I don't know how long it's going to take. Dan is. Yeah, that was my cat. She likes to sit up on the back of my chair.
We got the Mad Hatter on the rock.
She didn't agree with Dan Skilling's like having a breakout game. She's like, I'm not going to stand for this shit. Dan has got NBA talent, and maybe this is the statement for him where he gets. I don't think he's going to like Dan Skilling's has 20, but what I will say, Joe Matt, he can shoot. Like he struggled through the first 6 or 7 games of the season to shoot the ball. He saw 3 of them go down against Bryant. So now maybe he's in a little bit more of a rhythm where if he sees another one goes down against X, then, maybe you get 2 or 3 or 4 threes out of Dan Skilling's. I do my best to not let my emotion get into my content production. I want Cincinnati to win this game so bad because losing 4 in a row to X, I don't want to have to listen to my mentions and what's going to happen if that happens. But X is playing better basketball right now, and they're more consistent in their approach and how they handle offense. So I would guess X by like 5, whatever that score might be. I would guess X by 5.
I'd be 4, 5, 6, 7.
Damn, so we should be expecting a tight game.
I think
because it's at home. That's why. Like it just changes everything. Like in the shootout, like it's just different. Like it changes everything. Like I remember a few years ago, Trayvon blew it. He had 40 at Fifth Third, and we still won the game. It's like if he had 40 at home in the Cintas Center, they would have beat us by 20. But because of the crowd, it just keeps you in it, and momentum, like one shot just changes everything. Now that team was really good that beat Xavier when he scored 40, but still, I think momentum and I think just the crowd getting behind him, I think it will help. We'll see. That's all I have on the shootout, though.
You didn't give a score prediction.
77-70 Xavier.
Man.
I hope I'm wrong. More than anything.
Soppy, you want to chime in at all?
Yeah, I'll just give my prediction. I'm going to go Bearcats 162, Xavier 73.
I think Davenport's going to shoot more than 10 threes at that if we score that. I don't know. I think we're going to get ran out of our own gym, unfortunately. Especially with Chad bringing up top 2 defenders are out. This is a Xavier team that knows how to put the ball in the basket. You can argue we can too, but I mean this team. Xavier has the 4th best 3-point shooting percentage in the country and the 6th best field goal percentage. So we're 215 defensively on field goal percentage and 205th in guarding the 3. So I don't know.
There's your matchup predictor, though. 52.7% for Xavier and 47.3% for Cincinnati, according to ESPN.
What do you think that means on a points basis, Aaron?
Good luck. I would never bet on this game.
No, I just
hammer the over. Always hammer the over.
What do you think 5% translates to? I always struggle reading this thing.
Like I said, I went 84-77. You do you, man.
I don't know. Xavier Bearcats win 82-75. There we go. I'm not going to say Xavier's going to win.
Before we hop off here, do you guys want to just quickly Browns, Bengals, Browns, Joe Burrow killer. Can't beat them. You guys have like anything? You
We will trade you 2 losses for a Super Bowl every time.
just like can't figure out how to beat the boys in brown and orange.
Joe, Matt, you're muted.
We'll trade him 2 losses for just making the playoffs. Like if Soppy could choose to lose the Bengals twice a year and win the division and make the playoffs, he'd choose that every time. So it's like we're winning. Like they could beat us on Sunday and it won't faze me. It doesn't
Speaking
faze me.
of
I'm like,
speaking of
I'm numb
quarterbacks,
to it.
speaking of quarterbacks, number 4, that guy looked terrible.
Deshaun.
He didn't look good.
Yeah,
you guys wanted to touch on Fenway at all? We can maybe give people 4 minutes.
Save it for next week.
Love it. All right. Well, crosstown
fellas.
shootout. We got a head football coach rivalry game this weekend. I'm not going to screw up Danco Joe's tagline next week.
We've been kind of dropping the ball with the intro, so we got to be crisp next week.
Hey.
In our practice, let's send voice messages to each other, just practicing all week, so we're good to go.
It was an honor.
All right, fellas. Go Bearcats. Let's get a win Saturday.
Let's do it.
Fun.